Hi everyone, and
Hello
welcome
everyone,
back.
my name is Sarah
After
and welcome
last
back to Fit to
episode,
Lead.
I talked
This
about
podcast
shift
is
work
about
more
being
generally,
fit to lead in
what
every
it does to your
aspect of
body,
life,
your mindset,
physically,
and your life
mentally
over
and
time.
emotionally.
And today I
It's real
want to go one
conversations
layer
about
deeper.
life, leadership
It's
and
something I
navigating the
think
juggle of work,
almost every
family and
shift
everything
worker
in
can
between.
relate to.
I'm a
Being
cabin manager,
tired.
a mum and someone
But not
passionate
just
about
being
health
tired,
and
that kind of
fitness and
tired where you
well-being,
have slept,
especially those different
sometimes even
stages
for
of
a
life,
decent amount
including
of hours, and you
perimenopause
still
and
wake up
beyond.
feeling like you
I
haven't
also
recovered
share
at
some
all.
practical
And for a
fitness
long
and
time I
nutrition
thought that
tips
meant
to help
something
you
was
stay
wrong with me.
consistent
I've had
even
blood
when life
tests in the
gets busy.
past and
And if you
couldn't
haven't
quite
already
put my
done so,
finger
you
on
can
why I
download
felt
my
like
free
this.
guide,
I
The
wasn't
Busy
sleeping
Body
properly,
Blueprint,
or
at
I wasn't doing the right thing. Like I was
ozcast.network.com.
worried. But what I've learned is actually much more complex than that. For me, there has been so many times in this job where I come off a duty or a series of flights and I've gone from thinking, I just need to sleep and I'll be fine. And sometimes on the way home, I get home and I think, how have I got home? I don't even remember going home. I'm almost on autopilot. So I get home and then, especially if it's a flight in the evening and I don't get in till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, I then can't shut my brain down and my brain ticks, ticks, ticks. And it takes me some time. Whereas normally I don't have a problem with falling to sleep. But when I'm doing lates, it throws my body out of whack and I struggle with this. But once I get to sleep, I sleep sometimes 7 hours, sometimes 9, depending on how I do. And I wake up and I still feel so exhausted. Do you get that feeling where you've been to sleep, but you wake up, you're just absolutely exhausted. You're drained. You're not just physically tired, but you're heavy, you're foggy, you're really, really flat. And it used to really, really frustrate me. Always. Like I should be bouncing back quicker than this. What's wrong with me? Why am I not bouncing back quicker? I've had my sleep. Like I should be able to do this. We're putting so much pressure on ourselves. You know, I can do this and this is my job. I've got to do it. But over time, I've realized that it's not just about the sleep. It's about how you've disrupted your whole system. It becomes constantly changing with the pattern. So 1 minute I'm working early in the morning, next minute I don't finish till 1 a.m. at night. And you're constantly changing the pattern, which that is the rhythm being thrown out. And that's what's making it happen. And that's why you feel like you do. Our bodies are designed to follow something called a natural rhythm, a sleep-wake cycle. It expects to sleep at night and light during the morning and consistent timing. That's how our body functions. People that do shift work are no different to people who don't do shift work. We're all born the same way and our bodies are all function the same. So shift work completely disrupts all of that. So even if you're getting hours of sleep, your body is sometimes sleeping at a time it doesn't fully recognize best sleep. So if you're doing a duty through the night, back of a clock, we call them, and you're getting back at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning and you're getting home and everyone's going to work and you're going to sleep, your body's completely out of whack and you're trying to sleep in a daytime when you should be awake. So it's really confusing your body. So even if you're getting like hours of sleep, then your body is sometimes sleeping at a time it doesn't fully recognize. So you should be resting at night and functioning during the day. And what that means is that you can be asleep, but you're not fully resourced. You're not going into that deep, deep sleep. You're just resting, but you're not into that full sleep. So you're not recovering your body as you should be. And that's why when you wake up, you feel like you've barely slept at all because you haven't got into that deep sleep. One of the most common things I've experienced, and I know other crew can relate to this, is that strange feeling of being tired, but also wired. Like your body is exhausted, but your brain won't fully switch off. It's a really weird feeling. So you might be lying in bed completely drained, but your mind's still active. That's exactly what happens to me, like I described earlier, where I'm early. So I like to get up. I'd rather get up at 3 a.m. in the morning because I make sure I go to bed at 7 p.m. at night and I'm fully asleep. I have a good sleep. I get up and I do an early. That's how my body functions. That's what I like to do. You throw me a late duty, I've lost the plot. I just don't know. My body is out of whack. I don't know what I'm doing. I make mistakes. It's more dangerous that time of evening when you're not used to it. But in shift work, you are just expected to suck it up and deal with it. Unfortunately, that is part of the job. That's what you signed up for. But it's okay that you feel like this because, again, like I said to you, our body, we're not a robot. Our body is designed to sleep at night and be awake in the morning. So when you throw the shift work pattern in, it completely disrupts your cycle. This is why we're having all of these symptoms. So when I come home at 1 a.m. in the morning and I'm getting into bed, you would think, well, okay, well, that's just like having a late night out. But I've been up since, so I've had a really long day. My body clock has woke me up as normal because that's what my routine is and what I'm used to is waking up at, say, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning because I rise early. That's just my body's function. That's what I like to do. So I'm still waking up at that time. I can't force myself to stay to sleep. So I know when you speak to people and they say, well, shift work, try and get some sleep before your flight. Well, that's almost impossible to get sleep before your flight if you're not wired that way. So I'm not wired that way. I'm wired to be going to sleep at 7 o'clock at night and waking up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. That's how I'm wired. So you ask me then to do a duty later. Well, easy. The answer to that would be, well, sleep in later. But I can't because my body wakes me up and I physically cannot force myself to stay to sleep. So then you're awake at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and then you're working all the way through to 1 a.m. at night. No wonder I'm wired. No wonder I'm absolutely exhausted. And I'm wired. I get into bed and I cannot switch off because my brain is still functioning because I've landed. I've made sure all the beautiful passengers have got off. Then I've got on the bus, got in my car and then had to function to drive home. And at that time, when I've been awake since 4 a.m. in the morning, I'm so tired. My brain is tired. I've been on board. I have to be switched on. And because you have to be switched on, you've got safety procedures. You know, we can't let anything slip up there at 30,000 feet in the sky because it could be disaster, as we know. So you have to stay fully alert. And then you have to then drive home, make that drive home at 1 o'clock in the morning. So then your brain's working overtime. You're so totally physically and mentally exhausted. Unless you do a shift work role and work in a similar environment, you will never fully understand how it does make you feel. So then you get into bed and then I'm fully wired because then I can't relax. My brain's ticking because I still feel like I'm driving along the road and I have to be aware. It's a really strange feeling. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, but I get into bed because I've had to make sure that I'm fully aware of the road because obviously I don't want to have an accident on the way home. As it is, sometimes I get home and I don't know how I've got home. And then we do have a fatigue policy and we are allowed to use a fatigue cab charge home. Absolutely. The company I work for are fully supportive and it's absolutely amazing. But sometimes you're so fatigued, you can't make that decision. And sometimes you don't know that you need to make that decision. You actually think in your mind, I'm okay to drive. But really, are you okay to drive? But you think in your mind, I just want to get home. So sometimes what I'm saying to you is we're just on autopilot. You just get it done. So when you do get home, you're so wired that you don't know, you can't sleep, you can't relax. And it takes me then twice as long to get to sleep. Whereas normally if I'm working and my roster is great, I'm functioning fine. Like I very rarely suffer from fatigue if I'm doing what works for my body. The only time I suffer from fatigue is when I get the duties that my body rhythm is not used to doing. I do bid for what I want, but sometimes, unfortunately, we don't always get that. And that's, again, not no one's problem. It's just what the operations need at the time. And you get what you're given. That's it. So I'm laying in bed completely drained, still active in my mind. And then when I do get to sleep, I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm just wake again because I'm still, my brain's still ticking. I finally get to get into a full sleep. And then I wake up and I'm just so fully exhausted because I haven't truly slept, not a deep, deep sleep. So then I get up the next morning and then I'm pushing myself because I feel then I haven't done enough. Like I should be cleaning. I need to do this. There's still chores to do in the house. I've got to do the washing. I've got to clean up. I need to mop my floors. I've got an appointment. I've got this. I've got that. And it continues on. So then you just think, like, I don't know. I just don't think that it's talked about enough because I think people think something is wrong with them. I think some people think that it's just me. That's my makeup. I can't seem to get a break. But the fact is, it's your system. It's just trying to adjust and trying to adapt to the work. So there's a big difference between sleep and recovery, though. Sleep isn't just part of recovery, but recovery also includes like your nervous system reset, your stress levels, your emotional loads, your physical fatigue from standing, moving, working, and your mental overstimulation. And in shift work, all of that is consistently building up. So even if you sleep well one night, your body might still be recovering the next 3 to 4 days. That's why it can feel like you're always trying to catch up. What I've learned though, and what does help me, again, I don't have a perfect system, but I've learned a few things that make a difference for me. One is stopping the expectation for one good sleep fixes everything. It doesn't. Recovery takes time. Another thing is learning to respect different types of rest. Sometimes rest isn't sleep. Sometimes it's sitting still for 10 minutes without stimulation. Sometimes I've been known before to be driving home with no music on, like nothing. I don't want to hear anyone or anything. I just want to be quiet at peace. If I'm on a layover and I've had a really, really long day, sometimes the answer isn't going to the gym for me. It's just going for a nice walk, get some fresh air. I think it's important that you get out and do something. I think it's not good for us to come off a long flight, go into the hotel room and then just go straight to sleep. It's really important. If you don't feel like going to the gym, just go for a nice walk, just get some fresh air. Another thing that I found that really works for me, and I've tried to be a lot better than now with this, is switching off my phone. Not completely switching off if you're on call, however, not looking at it. So now what I do, and this happens every night now, I put my phone on charge and I don't touch my phone. Probably about an hour before I go to bed, I come upstairs, I put it on charge and I have my shower. Then I go back downstairs, spend some quality time. We'll watch a movie or watch an episode of something, have a cup of tea. Then I come up to bed. I do not touch my phone until the next morning because I find scrolling, doom scrolling, I call it, on your phone. This is when, especially if you are absolutely exhausted, you feel like utter crap because you haven't worked out for a little while. You feel bloated because you've been in the air constantly. And your probably nutrition hasn't been great. The last thing you want to see is supermodels and people smashing it out training at a gym. Yes, we know it's there and we're inspired by it, but we don't need to see that. When you're feeling like you do, you don't need to see that happening because we know we're there. We know we look after ourselves, but when you're exhausted, fatigued, tired, you can't even function correctly. That's not helping the situation. So I don't look at my phone. And one other thing as well, not trying to be productive every minute I'm at home. So I'm on 2 days off now. This is my second day. I've just worked 6 days in a row and it's been utterly exhausting mentally more than physically for me. And yesterday was an absolute mess. I had a whole day of appointments trying to catch up with the stuff because I've been at work for 6 days. I haven't had chance to do very much around my house. I like to mop and vacuum my floors at least twice a week, but I didn't even get to do it once in that whole 6 days. And it frustrates me because I can't do my little chores at home that I do because when you work 6 days in a row, it's just all over the place. One thing I did do was meal prep. So this is why I'm so thankful for my meal preps I do each week because I know when I do my meal preps on a Sunday or whatever day works, mainly Sunday if I'm off, I meal prep for the whole week. That's one less thing to worry about. So if everything else is falling apart around me, I know that I have my meal prep. I'm organized. And that's so, so crucial. And we will be talking more about food and cravings in another episode. But it's so vital to have that because everything else is falling apart around you. But I'm strong in that. I'm consistent. I've got food, I've got fuel, and that's what helps me. And then standing back and thinking, okay, well, yesterday I was a full day of appointments and trying to catch up. Today, I wanted to do some podcasting. To me, that's chill because I'm just chatting to you about life in general and what's happening to me and what happens to everybody else that I speak to on a daily basis because I love talking to people and finding out how they cope, how they deal differently, what makes them tick. I'm so intrigued about how other people do things, and it really, really does help talking to people. And so today I do have jobs to do around the house, but I'm pottering and it is so lovely. But normally I would be trying to be so productive every minute. And then I think my 2 whole days off have been completely jam-packed full with cleaning, doing chores, shopping. What have I done for me? So I really, really try not to be super productive every single minute I'm home. I do make sure I have downtime. So I feel that really helps me. I've also learned that when I ignore fatigue for too long, that catches up on me eventually. So now I try and listen earlier, not later. So yeah, look, sometimes you can feel it creeping up. You know that you've done back to back and you're thinking, okay, this is creeping up. Whereas before I used to just keep pushing through, just keep going, come home, straight to the gym, come back and just keep bouncing back. But all that does is just puts more stress on our bodies and just puts you in a place that you don't really want to be. So if you have ever felt like you're sleeping, but still you wake up tired, I really want you to know you're not imagining it. There is a reason for it, and it doesn't mean you're lazy at all. So please don't think that. It doesn't mean that you're not coping either. Even if everything around you feel like is crashing down, it just means your body's trying to function in a system it wouldn't naturally is designed for. And that it just takes adjustment and patient. Be patient with yourself, please. And be a bit more self-compassion than most of us usually give ourselves. Just give yourself time and love. It's so important. So in the next episode, I want to talk about something that sits underneath a lot of this, hormones. Because when you combine shift work with hormone changes, whether it's stress hormones, perimenopause, or just general body changes over time, things can start to feel even more unpredictable. So we'll break all that down next time. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in episode 3.
Thank you so much for listening to Fit to Lead. I hope today's episode reminded you that no matter what season of life you're in, you are capable of leading yourself forward one step at a time. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it, follow the podcast and leave a review. And don't forget you can download my free guide, The Busybody Blueprint, at ozcarsnetwork.com. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay strong and keep leading with purpose.